I think the biggest release, safe to say, is the Metro Boomin project, the Futuristic Summer, which is a very different approach from Metro Boomin. Metro, when we're hearing him, I think the last project that we got from him specifically was We Don't Trust You, We Still Don't Trust You. He did that in affiliation with Future. Before that, it was Metro Boomin presents the Spider-Man movie. So again, we're just used to hearing him on these very big projects, newer vibes. The features, for the most part, stay around the same thing. This is the first Metro Boomin project that is nothing like the rest. Metro Boomin presents a Futuristic Summer, which features J Money. I'm just going to run through some of the features first, and then we can get into the content. It features J Money, Travis Porter, Young Dro, Roscoe Dash, Quavo, YK Nice, Schoolie, Young Dro. There's a lot of Young Dro on here. Waka Flocka Flame, Shad the God, Young Thug, Lil Baby. SaVon, what is the trend you're noticing as I'm naming off these artists?
These are all Atlanta artists.
All Atlanta acts. And that is what the album sounds like. But it don't sound like New Atlanta. Not like Young Thug and Gunna. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking maybe. Nah. This sound like, remember Ain't I? Well, Young LA. Ain't I?
Yeah.
Young LA, who is featured on this project. J Money, who was featured on this project. I'm talking like...
let me see you bounce to the left and let your shoulder. Every time I hear Young Dro, nigga, that shoulder lean, nigga, hold up my shit. Wait, that ain't Young Dro.
No, I'm just saying that.
Come on, you gotta let you bounce to the left and let your shoulder. That shit. But that shit ain't sound like that shit on his album. That shit was not that.
But he was going for that concept, right?
I know he was going for
that era,
it.
Soulja Boy. I think a lot of people was getting Trap Atlanta confused with this release. This ain't your Jeezy Atlanta.
No.
All right, I know he has Gucci Man featured. This ain't your Gucci Atlanta either. This is OJ the Juice Man. This is Soulja Boy, right? Roscoe Dash. Roscoe Dash is a standout on this project. Young Dro stood out to me on this project. But what I wanted to discuss with you, this is also a double disc, SaVon. He had a volume 1 and a volume 2.
Okay.
When the album was released, he did one of the smartest things ever. He did not list the features because I think a lot of people wouldn't have clicked play. I think the first feature shout out to J Money. I love him. But I know a lot of the newer fans of today, and if they would have seen J Money, Breeski, Meanie, Young Dro, probably wouldn't have just appreciated them the way our era would.
Yeah.
Right? So what I wanted to ask you, SaVon, is something that he actually tweeted, right? We're talking about tweets today. And this is coming from the desk of Metro Boomin. He says, it's time for music to get back regional. Social media got everybody trying to do the same thing. Now, there are a lot of critics or critique on this project, right? Maybe it doesn't sound
good.
Good is subjective. Good is subjective. I'm sure there were people in Atlanta that truly did enjoy this project.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a few songs on here that I enjoy, right? Yeah. But it does make you think about regional music, especially because, SaVon is funny, we're gonna get to you in a second. Especially because I named off We Still Don't Trust You and his Spider-Man project. I didn't really hear Atlanta on those projects.
Yeah.
Not a problem. It shows his diversity as a producer, you know, and also as an artist, but do you agree with his tweet, with his statement? Talk to me. In the big 2025, do we need regional music?
You know, when you first said it, I was going to say no. But then I thought about it. And I want to remove my bias. I feel like for New Yorkers, East Coast people, it's really hard for us to remove that when speaking about music specifically.
Yeah.
But I agree with him because I think the West Coast kind of started that trend. And I think prior to the West Coast, we had like the Midwest, like the Detroit, had their sound.
Yeah.
Memphis had their sound. Houston had their sound. Like, so it was very regional, but I think it was, and it's no disrespect, but it was more so like the sub-cities, right? Like,
yeah.
And when I say sub-cities, again, no disrespect. But LA, New York, Atlanta, those have been the primary locations for just the hip hop sound, just the creation of hip hop, right?
Exactly.
Historically. So I agree with it. I do agree with that. I do agree with what he's saying. But just don't expect to sell a lot of records. If you're gonna make regional sound music, yeah, like you can make that, and when you're Metro Boomin, you can afford to do it because you're Metro fucking Boomin. But if you're somebody who's trying to get on, it's gonna be extremely difficult for you to do that. Like even in New York, we have our own sound as of today. It's like that sexy drill vibe, right? Like that's the New York sound.
Drill, sexy drill,
sexy drill, all of that drill. Like, but I think it's so regional that it doesn't really translate across, nationally. It just doesn't. It goes off when we out here, but you go to LA, you go to Miami, you go to Atlanta, you go to Houston, wherever you go, you're not really hearing that sound, So I do think it is something that we need to implement, and I think it's also depends on who it is, right? Like, again, Metro Boomin can do it. DJ Mustard can do it. Now let's see who's gonna be the, producer from New York to lead that charge in that way, for a more traditional New York sound, and be okay with whatever happens as far as the numbers.
I agree with a lot of what you said.
Thank you.
Finally. So that was like finally.
Nah, 'cause I was like, God damn, nigga, I thought I was getting my music shit off, and then Alex was like, well, I actually don't agree with nothing you said. And it's like, God damn, so thank you.
I actually want to blame New York for the reason as to why most cities kind of reared their behinds away from their regional music. East Coast music, New Yorkers, of course, the spitters, the MCs, that mainstream sound that became so popular and became so commercialized, maybe New York is not the only person that gets the full blame here, but it's important for me to have regional music because I think that's when we start to appreciate hip hop again on a larger scale, right? If we group everybody together as we've been doing the last few years, right? The life expectancy is shortened, right? It's decreased because if Young Thug does this really well, or Drake does this really well, and y'all ain't Young Thug or Drake, now the rest of y'all don't have a fighting chance for what it is that you do really well, right? And I think it's important for us to still have this regional music because it's like, all right, cool. If we get back to Detroit sounding like Detroit, which you guys have done really well for the most part in recent years, I'll be honest with you.
I ain't hear no Eminem.
Yeah, but like that Detroit sound, that boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Like,
you better lose yourself to the music.
That's Detroit.
That's a mob. That's Detroit, bro. Fuck out of here.
But there's been people like Babyface Ray, V's, I Swear Vezo, SaVon looking at me confused.
Now I know those.
Yo, you know those.
Yeah, I know those.
Baby Tron.
I know that.
I bet. That have kept on like the current Detroit sound, right? Sure. Like when you hear one of their beats, you're like, oh, this is a Detroit beat. Yeah. Atlanta for the longest. You know what? Fuck New York. I think it's Atlanta. Atlanta should get the blame as to why people veered away from what they naturally do.
Nah, it was 50 Cent.
You think? No, but I think it happened after that, though. No,
nah, it was 50 Cent.
I think it happened. All right, let me explain mine. I want to hear yours. I think that after 50 Cent, there was still New York sounding music. Atlanta, however, in recent times has become so popularized with the way they make music in terms of how they utilize auto-tune, how they utilize melody and rap. I think a lot of New Yorkers and people on the East Coast is like, damn, well, that's what's working over there. That's what's in. I got to get on that. Please break down for me what you mean by 50 Cent.
Well, it's just because 50 Cent was such a massive artist at that time, and he played such a pivotal role in just radio and commercial success, right? That once he kind of dismantled all of the brotherhood within New York, I know he's get credited for that, but once he put it on such a mainstream platform of, yo, fuck anybody who ain't with me. I don't care where you from, right? I'm going to go fuck with the niggas in LA and the nigga in Detroit or the cracker in Detroit, and we about to run this shit up, and I don't give a fuck about nobody in New York. He kind of dismantled that, and it worked. It sold. So now you leave, like, you just leave it open for anybody to kind of come in and fill that void. And I think Atlanta did what they were supposed to do, which is, yo, we've been overlooked for so many years, and now we're here. Boom, it's our sound, it's our time, and they just kind of doubled down on it. And New York never really recovered because,
if anything, we followed.
We had that arrogance of always being the quote unquote wave. Right? So back to your point, I think it's really dope that you said that. Yeah. The reason I do think regional sounds is also important and probably should be infused back into music is because it will force people to dive into the history of music in the original sound.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I am ashamed to say, and I'm being a little bit exaggerative here. But Kendrick Lamar's reintroduction of the West Coast sound, for me, reminded me of the West Coast sound.
Wow. Because
I knew it exists, and I've heard it before, and I know what it is.
Three.
But it was like, oh shit, he's putting this back on a national scale. This is their sound. This is for them. I'm not supposed to really fuck with all of GNX because it's not for me. Yeah. Now, thankfully, I do like a lot of the music on there, but most of the songs that I like are more of the universally sounding songs, sonically, right? Where the South, they kind of have that. New York, if we heard that, maybe we would embrace some of the OGs in a different way, right? Like today, I would say Cash Cobain is probably the #1 artist in New York.
I got Cash Cobain and I got A Boogie.
I would say those two, hands down, right? Yeah. I would say Cash Cobain because I feel like A Boogie hasn't been as visible lately. I still think he's one of the ones, but
he sells,
but
especially his shows. It's crazy.
But okay, cool.
Maybe influence is what you're saying, right?
I'll just say just relevance in music. Like I think Cash Cobain kind of really has a lock on that for New York as of today.
I agree with that.
It would be very difficult for me to hear a Cash Cobain and like a Jadakiss collaboration.
You heard the J. Cole joint? She thick in the hip, she a hippie.
I said a Jadakiss.
All right, bet.
Not a Jermaine-a-kiss, nigga. Jadakiss.
You're right. I don't know if I can hear that song.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I think if, the mainstream sound of what New York was actually prominent, then maybe it wouldn't be such a far-fetched thing for me to be like, oh shit, I could see these two artists from this same region, although a different time period, it just makes a little bit more sense. So I do like regional music for that reason.
I agree. And to your point, man, I think we just followed Atlanta.
Yeah.
Real talk, that's my point, right? Atlanta has received all of the flowers, shit, all the way up since, let's be honest, 2014, 2015, right? Over a decade now. And I think every other city was like, fam, whatever they doing, we need to try and mimic. And they kind of like left what they naturally do. I don't know. It's really crazy. Let me know in the comments if you do enjoy the Metro Boomin project. There are some songs on there that I truly do enjoy. The ones with J Money and Young LA really do it for me. I'll just name this quickly and I'm out of here. I Go on Volume 2 featuring J Money. Love it a lot. Rocco. Shout out to Rocco, man. Rick Ross tried to jam him up, remember? He was the one that said,
put Molly on it, drink, she need no.
Poor Rocco.
He did that on his song?
He did that on Rocco's song.
That wasn't on Rick Ross' song?
Rocco was so appreciative of an artist that big getting on his song that he couldn't even tell him, hey, yo, you can take that out?
Then Future was on that song too, right?
Future was on that song too. I think he did a remix of too.
I think so,
yeah, absolutely.
She need no.
Shout out to Rocco and shout out to Metro Boomin for bringing Rocco back. I like that. The second Little Baby record on here, which is the second to last record, which is Jerry Curry. Really, really love that. It was just dope to hear a bunch of Atlanta artists do what they do. And I'm excited to see what the rest of the field does, man.